Bombshell at the hearing. Ramsamy drops a stunning revelation. A staff meeting claim has now raised serious questions about Johnson's testimony. What exactly was discussed behind closed doors? And why does Ramsamy's account appear to tell a completely different story? The tension is rising, and this could change how the evidence is viewed. Don't watch from the sidelines. Subscribe now and stay ahead of the story. More shocking revelations, major reactions, and unexpected twists could be coming next.
When he received the docket, he looked at the C clip and the A1. So in my first evidence, I spoke about how the first entry of the C clip would speak to the A1 with regards to suspects, dates. The whole thing is literally summarized for when the detective takes over. And then the B clip, when you look at the middle section, if you lift all the correspondence that's usually there, there's a little block that says when a docket was allocated to an investigating officer, meaning a detective, and when they sign for it. So it's sort of a check and balance because it'll be on the casing system and then it'll also be on the docket. Mr. Rapeso then, and he updated me via WhatsApp throughout the day of every move, and so he then consulted. He found out that accused number 2, Makhashwa, was not even on duty, and that he was told by the crime intelligence officers who were tasked from crime intelligence at the time at 2022 to go and speak to the A1 and A2, meaning the first Saps officials to respond to the complaints. When he consulted with them, he wanted the original 38 docket to take to them.
That's Valeria.
Valeria 38 docket. Mr. Perumal refused to allow Mr. Rapeso to have the docket, even though he was the investigating officer on the matter. Hence the message from Advocate Johnson that she had handed everything over to Dylan, Chief and Padiachi, O'Brien. So I told him to work off the copies that I had made for him and the whole team of those dockets. And in those copies was Valeria 38. When he consulted with the first, so it was they work in crews. So the van went to the house of Lushapa, and the person, the more senior, who took down the affidavit of what had transpired while Mr. Lushaba was dictating, etc., etc. He said that this was not the statement, and then he filed a statement saying that this could not be the A1 because it's, one, not in his handwriting, and two, he had commissioned it, and it had been commissioned at the physical address of Mr. Lushaba. So that affidavit was sent to me via WhatsApp. I sent it to Advocate Johnson. Then the following day, Mr. Rapeso met with another crime intelligence officer who was also tasked with in 2022. And then he also met with the crew member of the, what I call the A1, because he was the first person to file an affidavit with regards to what transpired after Valeria Cas 38 was opened. He filed an affidavit in confirmation of what had transpired in where Mr. Lushaba goes to the police station. He's told to wait at his residence. A van will come, a Saps van. The Saps van attends the statement, and the docket is opened at the house. Accused number 2, Makhashwa, is not even there. But the statement in the Valeria Cas 38, as it stands now, is an affidavit commissioned by the detective Makhashwa. So the investigations progressed. Mr. Rapeso went to speak to the station commander. The station commander also had his own concerns about this docket. And he voiced saying, with regards to the amount of pressure that he was receiving from accused number 3 and 4 to close this docket. In fact, he says, accused number 3 and 4 said to me, don't you want to make your life easier and just close this docket as undetected? The commander also speaks about, he did his own investigations with regards to cell phone records and all of those things. He confirms that he has the video, or he viewed the video footage referred to in Mr. Lushaba and the friend's affidavit. But that video footage is gone. It's nowhere. What is labeled as video footage and put in the SAP 13 and an SAP or exhibit bag is actually cell phone records that were obtained by the commander. So that USB of the video footage is gone.
And this is everything that Mr. Rapesu did before he gets taken off the matter?
Correct.
And he reported that to you?
He reported, he filed, there were affidavits filed with regards to those things. The commander also referred Mr. Rapesu to the initial person that was allocated to the docket on the CAS system, and explained to Mr. Rapesu, who then explained to me that, and later when I consulted with this station commander, was that it seemed like it was allocated to her because she had just come back from maternity leave and she was brand new. She also files a statement about how she was receiving phone calls from Mr. Lushaba, dictating certain things, that Mr. Lushaba didn't want to deal with her, he didn't want to file a supplementary, he wasn't making the witness on the housebreaking available. The commander also confirms to me that during consultation that on the day that Mr. Lushaba eventually filed a supplementary, he refused to do it in isolation from the witness. So he wanted the commander to do both statements together, and he was interjecting, and there was a lot of. But the friend, so Mr. Lushaba says that he did not go for any medical treatment, etc. The friend's statement says that he drove Mr. Lushaba for blood tests because Mr. Lushaba suspected that he was drugged. And I repeat, the charges on Mr. Lushaba's docket and the 3 other accused was not that he was not a victim. It was what had happened at the level of the station in order to quickly close that docket. And the statements speak to that right until Mr. Rapesu stopped. Also, it must be noted that 2 out of the 4 accused, when I was still dealing with the matter, approached me for 105A. We were in negotiations when I was removed from the matter.
What is 105A?
It is a plea and sentence agreement between accused and the state.
Okay, so why did Advocate Sarunya, he had a different assessment of the matter? Did he not have access to the investigations that Mr. Rapesu had done?
I was not allowed to. Mr. Rapesu was persona non grata. In fact, if you mentioned his name, Mr. Padiachi would stand up and say, don't talk about him, that man put my life at risk, no matter where we were. So I wasn't allowed to share the report. In fact, there's emails where Mr. Padiachi and Mr. Perumal had informed the ID that Mr. Rapesu did nothing on that docket. It just came as and they denied that the documents that Mr. Rapesu was forced to hand over when he got the letter contained statements and the report. And to be very honest, the report was handed to every person via USB on every update.
I know that the report by Mr. Rapesu, I think it's titled preliminary report or something like that, but it's a report by Mr. Rapesu. That is also one of the documents that needs to be obtained and included in the bundle.
Correct.
But I think Mr. Rapesu didn't have it, but you do have it.
I do, yes, correct.
Because he had emailed it to you.
And I had emailed it to everyone, correct.
And when you say you've emailed it to everyone, it wouldn't have been Mr. Serunye because he wasn't a part of the team yet, or would it
No,
have been?
Mr. Serunye came in only in August. All of this was happening in March, April, May. So
Okay.
when he analyzed the docket, in fact, Mr. Serunye and I had a discussion about it, after the testimony, but at the time in August, where I admitted that I was rushing the charge sheet and I had not put accused 2 where I was supposed to put accused 2. I had put accused 1. But I was trying to explain to him what it was, but Mr. Serunye, or Advocate Serunye, concentrated on the explanation provided to him by Mr. Padiachi, and with the report of Mr. Rapesu, he was never provided so that he could understand the sequence of the investigation.
So the view that you and Mr. Rapesu held at the time was that there was a prima facie case.
Correct, and it was confirmed in the meeting where Mr. Sissoko was present.
And which meeting was that?
The one that Mr. Serunye spoke about yesterday, where he wanted the presentations.
We wanted the presentations. Okay, I think we'll get to that at some point. Now, after Mr. Rapesu is out of the picture on Mr. Lushaba, General Lushaba's matter, and is the main investigator now Mr. Pariachi, or is it Mr. Perumal? Who's the investigator?
Must I answer that?
Yes.
It's
I
too
know
late
you
not
have-
to be blunt, so I'm going to be blunt. Commissioners, Mr. Padiachi does not know investigation. He is, and even if you look at the emails that I'm providing to the commission, even his affidavits for the J50s, he's never drafted them. Those affidavits are drafted by Mr. Perumal and emailed by Mr. Perumal, and they're in 2 different provinces. And he would say, Brian, peruse, team peruse. So those, everything, and like I said, I know the style because I've been working with them for almost 4 years now. The other aspect is that I know that Mr. Padiachi was struggling with the investigation because on numerous occasions I had instructed Mr. Padiachi to do, so when we were discussing, if we go back to the aspect where we're saying 28s must be done on this and 28s must be done on that, on page 7.
Of file 11.
File 11. It reached a point where I had to remind Mr. Padiachi that you are also a senior investigator, you're not a chief investigator. You're on the same rank as Mr. Rapesu. So I'm dividing. You do this, you do this. When it was eventually done, it was done by Mr. Perumal. So even at 28, Mr. Padiachi struggled to do. And on one occasion, Mr. Padiachi had said to me, I'm still new to this, so I need you to guide me through this, whatever. But if you're asking me for guidance, then you must also be willing to learn. And you must be able, because he would sit and he would say, let me tell you how crime intelligence is working, Whenever I would ask why there was a shortage of evidence in an affidavit obtained, it would be, let me tell you. And I said, no, but you, irrespective of what you know, in order for me to make a decision on the evidence, it has to be in the statement. So,
You sound like you, I'm not saying that's your intention. You sound like you agree with General Mkwanezi that Colonel Padiachi knows nothing about investigations. Is that a fair
it's a fair assessment.
assessment?
having worked with him since January 2025. Actually, I worked with him on the other 27 referral, but he came in much later after the investigation was done.
Thank you.
So yes.
Thank you.
Now, in your statement...
Maybe before you do that, let me ask a question. It relates to that WhatsApp message from Mr. Perumal about his meeting with Mr. Cameron. It's where it says, meeting went very well, full support from him. What did you understand that to mean? Because from the affidavit that we looked at earlier, it seemed, and your notes, looking at your earlier notes, that they went to see him about the appearance of the National Commissioner and his team on vetting issues. I think you said that's vetting crime intelligence. That's why they went there, and that affidavit seems to speak to that. Even though it doesn't say they lied, it said, look at the record of our meeting, compare that with your intelligence dockets. Members were not satisfied. That's all he says. When he says, so it would appear that their engagement with him would have been limited to that particular question, the vetting, crime intelligence. What did you understand Mr. Perumal to say when he says we have full support from Mr. Cameron? That what you understood or what he said?
I understood him to have meant that they went to Mr. Cameron with a specific narrative in mind, and that narrative was accepted. And I say this because I had 2 or 4 negotiations on other matters, so I know how they think, how they work. They went to him with a specific narrative, and he was on board.
And the narrative would be what? Because in the bigger scheme, you have said to us the big scheme. Let me be careful and not attribute to you things that you didn't say. So if I were paraphrase, bear with me. That it seems the big scheme here was the cleaning up of the Saps for whatever purpose, because that's what your head says. I met with the minister. He wants our assistance to clean up the Saps. So maybe that's why everything is happening. I don't know. When you say they went there with a narrative, is it that he's giving full support for the cleaning up of the Saps, or is it for arresting and charging crime intelligence people, including the National Commissioner? When you say narrative that you think they went there with, and that's what Perumal is speaking to when he says that Mr. Cameron gives his full support, what in fact do you have in mind, or are you seeking to convey to us?
My understanding of the narrative by then was exactly what they were perpetuating, that General Khumalo and General Masiamula need to leave. They need to be gone.
So your understanding was that, and you may well have been wrong in your understanding.
Correct.
So you're not placing it higher than what you made of it.
Correct.
Your understanding was that Perumal is conveying that Cameron supports that agenda.
Correct.
He may well be misrepresenting what happened between him and Cameron, so we're not placing it higher than that.
Correct. And also, just to repeat, by then, Advocate Johnson had already said we must look into a link of PKTT and Cameron, in Cameron. Also, we have the WhatsApps where Mr. Perumal is sending me documents that were top secret, contain very, very dangerous information about a person and their lifestyle, their families, etc. for the purpose of security of Mr. Cameron. So how did we go from investigating how Mr. Cameron went to get, or how Mr. Cameron got protection, his risk assessment, and the PKTT involvement, to he's now on board?
Thank you.
I just got word that there's a need for a comfort break.
Yes,
Let's adjourn. We'll be told when to come back.
Thank you, Chair.